Here I've got a layout of a school using mass families, and they were all placed when there was only the main model available to me. What I want to do now is create some options where I can copy the geometry to individual options that represent different layers. So that there's some place to copy them to on the Analyze tab, I'm going to Design Options. I'm going to say create a new option set. I'm going to pick on where it says Option Set 1 and I'll rename that and call this Orientation. Ready to go with that. I've got one primary option at the moment, and that's going to be the geometry I'm going to copy down to that option. To make it a little clearer, what I'm going to do is say rename that and call that North-South or N-S, and then I'm going to say let me have some other options which are Northeast, Southwest, and one more option which I'll just call East-West. So there's nothing actually been moved to these options yet. Everything at the moment is sitting at the level of the main model. So now what I want to do is I'm going to select the geometry that I want to copy, and going back to that Analyze tab, I've now got the option saying add it to a set, or add it to one of the sets that I created there. There's a checkbox checked for each of the three options, which means that I'm copying the geometry down to that particular set. So when I do that, the geometry that I had is no longer on the main model, which is why if I click on here, you see I can't select it. But if I change the setting so that I'm actually working on North-South, then I can pick the different families that are on that design option. So I copied the geometry down, but I didn't actually make any changes. So let me flip to the view of the site here. You can either change it up here as to which set you're working on, or you can change it down on the bottom here. So I've got my North-South option. If I go North-South like that, these are the activities. If I flip to the one that says Northeast, Southwest, I haven't made any changes to the geometry that's there. So what I'm going to do is say rotate. I'll move that to the location where the two reference planes cross. I'll give my first angle, and I'll give my second angle of 45 degrees, so that now I've actually changed that to the orientation that I was interested in. So let me go down and go to the East-West option. You see I was back with my original geometry. I'm going to select it, and under the rotate option I'm saying let's change that so that the first angle was 0 and I'm changing that 90 degrees. So now if I look at this, let's go back to the 3D view. Front is south, right? So if I look at this, I've now got a way of saying work with this, or this, or this. I want to quickly create the energy analysis here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say let's save this. This is the project, and let's save it as orientation report. This is the name of the project that I'm creating. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the energy settings, and I'm just going to go with these defaults. It's a school, it's in Boston, and the defaults that I'm showing here. You can see in other movies how to set those and a bit more of what they mean. I'm now going to say that I want to analyze the school, and it's going to apply the settings for the surface and ask me for the name of a report. Since this is North-South, this option, I'm going to call it North-South. and it's off and creating the report. Now, even while it's doing that, I'm going to flip to the other orientation, and then I'm going to say analyze that. So I'm not even waiting for the report to be finished. This is northeast, southwest. Do that one, and then the last one down here is if we're looking at east-west, analyze that report, analyze that orientation. Okay, there's my first one finished already, and I'll pick up the process when I've got all three of the reports completed. I've got my three reports now. If I looked at results and compare, I'll see them, and they've been created using the cloud computing. So very, very fast. All three of them were done within maybe less than 3 minutes. If I bring up the report here, I'm going to go, there's the one that I just created. East, west, north, south, and northeast, southwest. Now I can do a couple of things here. Is I can select multiple reports and compare them to see them side by side. However, what I like to do is I like to actually export them, and it gives me a report. I'll call this, I'm going to put it on my desktop, Energy Analysis Compare Report. And the reason I like to do that is just that the information it presents to me is a little easier to work with, in that I can look at the information here and make a comparison more easily between the three options that I've got than I can if I've got reports on my screen side by side. So let me show you what I mean by that. Just a very quick note here. If you look on in the model where front is due south, and you go to your site plan level, the assumption is that for drawing that project north is straight up, but it may be that the true north is something different from that. So if I just select, while I'm on the site level, the two blue icons here, and I isolate the one that's called the project base point, this is where you can go in and actually say, yeah, but you know what, true north is actually 15 degrees. So you're able to put a value in here, either a plus or a minus value, to orient the building correctly, so that if true north here is straight up and the building is at an angle to true north, you can make the change before you run your settings. So I'm just going to change that to say like 30, and if I needed to, I can change it back to 0 if I want true north and project north to be the same thing. So what I'm going to do is just flip to my desktop and open the report that I just created. And the reason I like it like this is you see that I can look at the different options on here by using my scroll mouse. So I'm looking at the information, and just using the scroll bar on my mouse, I can look at the different output in a much smaller area. For example, if I go down to, well, let me just highlight the important ones here. The total EUI, right? So I can look at east, west, north, south, northeast, southwest. Let me click on this for a second. east-west 107, northeast, southwest 113, north-south 138. So I'm getting more I need less energy if my orientation is east-west. Good to know. If I scroll down through the report, it's where you've got charts that this is especially useful. Let me just take, for example, this. This is the monthly heating load. So if I use my scroll bar, there's the east-west, there is northeast-southwest, there is north-south. Right, so I can look at these and I can see that part of the benefit from the orientation is like which direction are the glazed windows in, and how much heat are they gaining or losing that affects the performance of the building. Right, for example here, cooling loads. So let me go to cooling load east-west, northeast-southwest, north-south. So I can get results, and what's nice about this is the easy way I can compare the graphics. I switched back to where Project North is straight up and True North is the same direction, or it's set at the 0 angle degree, so that you can see that it's possible to move those around from option to option. But I've got 3 of them in here, and I've already decided from my study that east-west is the best from the point of view of energy. So I can tell it that I want to, in the design options here, I want to make east-west I'm finishing editing what I was working on. East-west, make primary. And then with east-west primary, if I just want to return to the situation where I have a main model with this geometry in the main model, I can say accept primary. It'll ask me, do you want to remove all the options from the set? And I can say yes, and then I'm back to just the layout that was my preferred layout. And it's on, if I select it, it's on the main model. And the other options I've got.